Hi, my name is Shauna Spears, and I am presenting my cultural exposure assignment that I did recently where I attended an event with some Korean Americans. So I will be going over some specific topics and giving you some insight onto how that event went and my personal thoughts on it. The spirituality and religion of Koreans is based in traditional ancestor worship, which comes with ceremonial ancestral rites. So we can think of Buddhism and Confucianism, which are kind of based in a pantheism or animism worldview, where we have spirits or ancestors, typically in this case, and where they should be honored. There's respect that's taught, and it ties into the universal energy and the connection between the living and the dead. They also are able to receive blessings from these ancestors, but they are not materialistic. They tend to be a blessing to live well in the world. So most Korean Americans view family as the best healing source, and they're very respectful of their family members. So prominent customs, practices, and behaviors. We know that there is a patriarchal or hierarchical structure for most Korean Americans. We know that they really respect and honor a healthy mind-body connection because of this, they tend to have more physical complaints because they're accepted and they're used to express or explain some emotional stress or possible psychological issues. I have on here different things such as their group oriented with their families, much more reserved, maturity and wisdom is very respected. And of course, they do respect authority as well. So, historical and current oppression, we're going to look a little bit more into understanding that when we say Asian Americans, and I'm specifically talking about Korean Americans, there are many other subgroups as well that are represented. So we need to make sure we understand who we're talking to. They will often have difficulties and issues associated with their immigration, acculturation, which could be trouble with their families coming up. They are a minority representing about 7% of the population, and there are even some issues interracially and interethnic with other ethnicities, which will have biases, discrimination. We have some significant points in history here in America, the 1990s and then 2020, and we can look specifically at COVID-19 as well as being problems for these Asian Americans because they were dealing with stereotyping, accusations, um, institutional racism, and microaggressions. So I went to the Seoul Baptist Church, which I didn't know at the time until I got there, but there are two different churches on the property. I was taken to the more modern Korean American church called New Life Fellowship. And it was explained to me that most of the younger population attended the newer modern church, while the older, more traditional Korean Americans went to the other. So in the New Life Fellowship, the entire service was in English, and it probably would have been hard to distinguish between this church and any other American Christian church. But I did notice a few things. There were a great deal of people. They were all incredibly welcoming, including to other ethnicities. I did, in fact, see some Mexican Americans be able to give their testimony. There were several other races represented, and it did appear to be more international. This was incredibly important to the congregation. It appeared that they were really trying to be loving of one another, and they wanted to go out into the world and express the love of Christ. They have house churches. They had many of them listed and, in fact, named after countries around the world. So I was able to learn that they have strong family units. They're very welcoming to other nationalities, and I appreciated their humbleness and their respect for God during their worship. And it appeared to me that it didn't just apply to the families, but it applied to their creator, God. So I had wonderful emotional responses here. I was so privileged. I felt that I was being welcomed. My American behaviors I noticed were a little bit more toned down. I wanted to respect the people I was with. It was a wonderful time. One of the last things I want to cover that's incredibly important is effective counseling theories. We want to make sure that we are interviewing these clients that we have, that we broach the subject of our differences in our race and our ethnicities, And one of the things that we can look to is culturally adapted CBT, for example, and other culturally adaptive counseling theories. We want to work to learn and understand the cultural attitudes. And one of the things I found myself appreciating the most is that we as counselors need to be exposed and become aware of our different perspectives and have humble minds. This came from one of the sections in the Williams text. I have here in the next slide my references. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you have a wonderful day.